What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing fantastically well. It's Connor here, and I'm back with a little bit of an update. I've done a podcast, as you can probably see by the title, with Dominic Matteo. It goes on for about an hour and 40 minutes, so I'm going to be releasing snippets, and then we'll be releasing the full podcast, so make sure you stay tuned. It was one of the best hour and 40s of my life, one of the icons of recent times at Leeds United, actually one of the icons in general. Dominic Matteo was a fantastic servant for Leeds United, 145 games, and he stayed through the good and the bad. So listen, stay tuned for that, but make sure you also go check Dom's foundation in the description below. This is what this was all about. It's massively important, and get some tickets to the guest event with him and the Australian wizard, the Australian legend, Mark Viduka. Guys, hope you enjoy, and I'll speak to you soon.
It's not a bad little compliment there, mate. But when you were obviously bringing it back, when you sort of were about to leave Liverpool at the time, was A, how were you feeling, and B, were Leeds sort of the only club that were in for you, or were there a fair few others?
There was a fair few. Me and my agent, Struan Marshall, has been pivotal on stuff. I was actually at the Aston Villa game with him last week because we've got the same agent, Stephen Gerrard. So me and my agent got the same, we've been down the same route like Stephen has, Carragher. We all came through with Struan. He looked after us well. We're lucky to get a good agent. I know nowadays it can be a bit dodgy with certain ones, but Struan was really a big influence on that as well. And he wanted the best for us. And even because he had an athletics background, Struan. So when I first met him, there was already a bit of, I was thinking I want him to have a bit of that sport as well as being obviously my agent, and it was really important. I think he guided quite a lot of us through this, through into whatever we wanted to achieve. But I think it's that was the first thing you kind of do as a kid. You find your agent, and people think, oh, that might be too soon, but it's never too soon to get the right one if he's good. And for any young kids nowadays, I've seen it nowadays. They're trying to sign kids up at 4, 5, 6-year-olds. And I know that's the way of the world, but I do think let them go and learn and find their own way. That's my philosophy. As a young player when I was coming through, although I was kicking the ball around at 3, 4, 5-year-old, but I didn't get involved properly till I was 10, 11. And I think that in my head again, I think that's better. Let them go and play, enjoy the stuff when they get to 10, 11. But obviously, listen, that's me. That's my opinion. But the other, nowadays, like you say, the people are signing contracts when they're 4, 5-year-old. But is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. I just loved football, and I was happy just to be out in the park with mates kicking a ball around.
Yeah.
The first thing I noticed, actually, I wanted to go back from the early days playing football in Southport. I used to play against men's teams, and I was only a young kid, and they all used to try and smash me. But and that's how you kind of learn stuff as a young lad as well. But I learned a lot there. These were grown men wanting to have a dig at me. Some were Liverpool fans, some were Everton fans, and you always had that rivalry. And like I said, people thought Southport was a soft place because it was posh, and I said, heck, we had to look after ourselves in every single game we played because sometimes people thought we were going to be a bit soft, so they might put a foot in. So again, that early learning curve for me come from just wanting to look after myself in the right way without being aggressive or nasty in any way. Just them morals of what, I don't care how old you are, how big you are, I'll knock you over if I need to. And that's my attitude. And be honest, I was probably too aggressive when I was young. People said that to me. And I felt bad a few times I injured a few people in training and stuff because I think you're still learning your way, and you're learning how to tackle and stuff. And I did I did make a few bad ones at times, but that's the learning curve as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you got to take that ruthlessness sort of throughout your career as well, haven't you? And it does transcend 100%. I mean, when you first sort of heard of Leeds' interest, do you remember your first meeting with David OLeary?
Yeah. It was really weird because my agent was. I think he was at mine. We're living I had a house in Birkdale, so I just got the house, and my agent had come over, and we were trying to get the deal over the line with Liverpool, and then we decided, all right, they offered me a 5-year contract, probably not the actual deal that I wanted, being brutally honest. But I always knew at Liverpool, when you come through the ranks, you don't earn the money that the players who get signed, signed. They're the ones who get the big money.
Yeah.
And it takes you a long time at Liverpool to kind of get the money. I'm not saying it's about the money, but at that point, when I eventually decided to leave Liverpool, and then obviously talk to Leeds and stuff, it was like, I suppose, if I'd stayed at Liverpool, I still think I would have played, and I probably would have stayed there for my whole career, because I knew I was actually getting better and better at that age. It took me a while to find my feet, and I thought if I'd stayed at Liverpool, obviously I would have won all them trophies and stuff. But sometimes in life you have to make a decision. What's best for you and what's best for your career. And I put my career first to get more games and a bit more of another adventure.
Do you regret, Dom? Do you regret that at all? You're just talking about, you'd potentially won like the Champions League and all the sort of, UEFA stuff, the domestics. So, I mean, what do you sort of regret that at all, or do you think you made the right move at the right time?
I think that's a brilliant question, and not many people ask me that question. So I'll be totally honest. There was a little bit of regret, because I think you get into a comfort zone as a player at a certain club, and everyone. I've known, I still know the same people who work at Liverpool now. I still know them. I still do stuff with them. I still work with them now and again. So I think it was a big move for me, that. And to be honest, I was a bit thinking to myself, am I doing the right thing? People were saying to me, players that I played with, which I won't mention names, are like, Dom, come on, you need to stay here, stay at Liverpool.
Because Dom, there was a bit of a battle there as well between Leeds and Liverpool, wasn't there? With that, there was like a top sort of, it was 3, 4, 5, and 6, wasn't it? Where Liverpool, I think Carragher's referenced it a fair few times. Liverpool sort of got to that next level, but Leeds, obviously, with our years and years in the doldrums, weren't able to do so. But there was a real battle between the clubs for that establishment there, wasn't there?
There really was, and that's probably what prompted me to sign, because I knew Leeds were a good side. I'd played against them a few times. I played left back, I think. I was up against, I'm trying to think who played right wing. It would have been Lee Bowyer, I think. I was up against Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Lee's lively, fast, good player. One of the best players at Leeds I actually played with. Yeah. Really, really great player, good athlete, but good lad. And we were playing up against him, and the Leeds lads were quite cocky.
Oh, really?
Not in a bad way, but because they were young lads, they were all doing well. Then they came to Anfield, and I remember thinking, who do these lot think they are? So I remember we beat them anyway. I knew we beat them quite well, quite comfortably. But I'd seen something as well, that they had a lot of good players, a lot of talent. And obviously when I got talking with Leeds, actually, with David OLeary, going back to when I first met David OLeary, I was in the Malmaison Hotel in Leeds City Centre. But before I went there, I went to the Flying Pizza in Leeds, and all the lads were there because Lee Bowyer had been fined for being late or missing training or something. The usual stuff.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I went and had a quick chat with the boys, a couple of beers, bit of something to eat, and then went out with the boys for a couple more.
And the rest.
And then you're thinking, well, this could be my perfect club, this.
Yeah.
But then, like you say, that night, went back to the Malmaison where I was staying with my agent. We had a chat with David OLeary. Peter Risdale was in there. And David said, listen, I can't guarantee you starting. And I was like, well, we'll probably see about that, because I think I'm good enough to start. Then it was kind of, well, we've got certain players in certain positions, and my attitude was always, well, I'll find my way into the team. And then as we got talking and as we spoke, there was big similarities with me and him, because David's obviously with the career he had at Arsenal. I knew it's probably the right move for me to go there, and David was a big influence in that for me, because he was a centre half himself.
Yeah. Arsenal.
Even though obviously I played in different positions, centre half is where I wanted to play. So the way he talked to me, and I liked it when he said, you're not guaranteed playing, because that always inspired me anyway to think, right, you know what, I have got to get my head down now, and I have got to do better. And I think David was that person, because I always believe with David OLeary, and everyone's got mixed opinions on David. I haven't. He was brilliant for me. He helped me, day in, day out on the training field, and even to get this deal over the line. I think they were looking for, obviously, we know the signings that Leeds made at that point. We've made some great signings, maybe some bad ones as well. But I was genuinely excited when I signed. I was really excited. It was brilliant. There was a buzz about the city at that point, because obviously Liverpool just missed out when we lost at Bradford, believe it or not. David Weatherall scored. I broke my foot after about 10 minutes in that game.
Was it the green? It was the green Liverpool kit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the green one. And I had to play on for like 85 minutes with a broken foot. God. So that's probably why my injuries have always been pretty bad all the way through. But I remember that game thinking, how am I going to get through this game?
Yeah.
And Bradford obviously fighting for their lives. That was going back to that game. But yeah, and I think that was when obviously Leeds got into the Champions League position. Liverpool didn't. That kind of tipped it as well that way for me, because I thought, you know what, not playing the Champions League, want to play in the Champions League. I'd played in the Cup Winners' Cup. I'd got to the semi-final of the Cup Winners' Cup. We lost to Paris, which I was gutted about, devastated, 3-2 on aggregate. Then obviously played in the UEFA Cup with Liverpool. Didn't really get as far as what we should have. We had a good team at that point. And then to play in the Champions League. I mean, nowadays there's only the Champions League and Europa League, isn't it? Whereas when I played, there was three trophies up for grabs, and I lost in 2 semi-finals. Absolutely devastated about that. But sometimes that's just the way it is. But I enjoyed all them times, all them games. But like you say, going to Leeds was, to be honest, first day I came in, it just felt right. There was a feeling about it, and even now to this day, I feel like it's home. And that's the truth. I feel like it's home. Obviously, back working with the club and stuff. So that's kind of how it started. And obviously, I think when you first signed for Leeds, when you've got the Gary Kellys round, you've got loads of good lads who I'm trying to think. Nigel Martin was there. You've got David Batty. You've got some good senior, solid players, and the young lads coming through, the Woodgates, the Alan Smiths. There's so many more. I mean, Ian Hart was still quite young at that point. They had a good squad of players. So I just thought it was the right move for me at the right time. That's what happened. And I think in life's too short. Don't have any regrets. You do. No. You think about it for a bit. I mean, listen, I'd be totally lying if I said I wish I'd won them trophies. Of course I would. Anyone would. But such is life, and you move forward. And I generally did love my time at Leeds. I mean, I ain't joking when I say it. And when I left Leeds, I was devastated. I was devastated. I was absolutely. Anyone who knows me I was sick as a pig. I actually probably drunk a bit too much the next few days, because I was sad. And sometimes that's what you do. That's what happens. But it's not a shining example to anyone else to do that. It's just the way it was for me.